All right, welcome, everyone. Oh my God, can you believe it? 2022 is here. Welcome to the Business Accelerator, the 1 day virtual event. This is actually a boot camp. It's an accelerator boot camp. And well, you know what? Okay, I'm super excited about it. Can't you tell? Let me back up. So my name is Jacqueline Kabah Harrison. I am your host for this 1 day virtual event. So it is the Eight Queens Roundtable Leadership Symposium. We actually changed the name to Leadership Symposium. And I am so excited, super excited. So this is kicking it off with Publishing 101. So the purpose of this particular bootcamp accelerator is for those individuals who are either just starting out or maybe already in business, and maybe you're already doing this, but you want to, you want to excel further, you want to scale, or maybe you are already in business and you are doing a different area, that you specialize in, but you are looking to branch out into other areas. So if that is you, you are in the right place. We're going to cover podcasting, having successful live events, how to scale up your live show. And we're also going to do how to secure speaking engagements. And last but not least, we're also going to talk about publishing. So this is for those of you, this is Publishing 101. So for those of you that actually are interested in either A, publishing your own magazine, or if you are interested in self-publishing your own books and or publishing anthologies, okay? I have two experts here that is going to talk to you about just that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to let them introduce themselves and basically tell you a little bit about who they are, who they serve, and how they serve them, and just basically a little bit about their why. Like, how did all of this come about? Okay. So if you do not have a pad and a pen, you can get it. Okay. Grab your favorite beverage and just sit back and relax and just get ready to take it all in. Mm-hmm. So we're going to start off with Miss Francesca, that goes by Fancy. And then after she introduces herself, Ebony will introduce herself as well. All right. Go ahead, ladies.
Well, greetings, and I'm Fancy. I'm the award-winning publisher and editor-in-chief of Swagger Magazine, which is an empowerment and lifestyle publication for the Black community. We started in 2010 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and have been able to grow nationwide. And my why would be, I just really believe that Black women need to hear the stories of other Black women. Like, voices need to be heard. I don't think, well, we've only come so far over the matter of years. So I still feel like we're kind of behind, and that we need to, the more that we share, like, we're not sharing for ourselves, but we're actually sharing for someone else. So someone else needs to hear that story. And with that has been like my whole reason behind everything. And that's what pushes me to do what I do.
All right. So my name is Ebony Nicole Smith. I am the writing coach and publishing engineer. What I do is I help faith-based men and women to start, structure, design, and finish and publish their God-given book. My why would be, there's so many, but I would choose one. My why is because I believe that in order to reach the nations, in order to show people that God is still yet reigning and still yet alive, that they should share their story. And I believe it should be told and sold around the world to show people that they're not alone and that God is still able to do something.
Yes. I love it. All right. So thank you all again for being here today during this boot camp, and basically sharing your knowledge and your expertise with the ladies out there that are interested in publishing. So I know you guys have different areas of expertise. So I guess, Fancy, if you could talk to us a little bit about your area of expertise so they can have an understanding of a little bit more specifically what you do.
Okay, so I am the publisher, which means basically like the creator of Swagger Magazine. I'm also the editor, which means that I oversee all the content. And I do this for both online and in print. So I do it for both the print and online. And yeah, that's basically it. I mean, yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but that's the best way to sum it up as far as my area of expertise. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Swag Her magazine. Tell us, and I know you touched on it a little bit, but how long? I know you said you're a native of Louisiana, and you started this actual publication when?
2010.
2010. Okay. All right. Wow, 2010.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
That's so funny because I started writing I wrote my first book in 2010.
Oh wow.
So when you said that, I was like, she's my writing buddy. Like we share the same year of writing. Like it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I like that.
That is.
So let me ask this. So for those ladies out there that are interested in publishing their own magazine, and I know that, myself included, like I just kind of look at it like, oh, that's not something I would be able to do. Like that would be too much work. That sounds so bad. But y'all, come on, be honest. I know that's what some of you all are thinking. Or maybe you think, I just don't know where to start. Like what do I do? So what tips could you offer for an individual that is, is thinking that I'd like to have my own magazine, but just don't quite know what to do?
I would first definitely suggest doing your research. Like when I first started, I knew absolutely nothing. I hadn't ever worked with another magazine. I couldn't tell you anything, but I had actually, I take that back. I had kind of been working with an online outlet, right? But I had only done one interview with them. So that's all the experience that I had. And I say that to say, like, had I known ahead of time a lot of things, I think my path would have been a lot easier. So I definitely suggest doing your research, figure out, if you still want to move forward, because we also have to factor in just the obvious fact that right now print is it's going extinct in many ways, so that's one thing that you really need to consider if you're going to of course you could always go digital and you don't have to worry about print, but that is something that you need to look at while you're doing your research. And from there, I would say decide on who your audience is going to be, because that is going to be where your theme and your content is going to come from. And once you know that, you need to be as specific as possible about your audience, like know as much as you possibly can about them. Again, do your research on them, because you need to know what might interest them, whether they're going to be interested in reading it, reading or whatever it is that you're going to be writing. All of that is going to be based on that information. So I think with those three things, that's a good place to start, because you can go so many other routes after that. Of course, I started by just writing myself. I actually started when I started, I was just using and do interviews, and so I wasn't even writing. I remember I sent I sent the video over to someone that I admired on Twitter and asked her for her opinion. And she was like, it's nice, but you aren't even writing anything. And I was like, oh, you know what? Like, it never even crossed my mind, because I had been so afraid to write. So I say that to say, because you don't have to necessarily be in print, or it doesn't have to be wrote out. You could always do video format for the magazine. There's just so many different ways that you can take things now with technology. So those are the 4 tips that I would suggest as far as for starting.
Okay. You know what? I do have a question though. I mean, because I know a couple of people that, like, I know Courageous Women magazine. I believe they do it digital and they also have like a paper copy. Mm-hmm. And just kind of hearing you say about the paper copy is kind of becoming extinct. And it's just like, I don't know. I mean, and I'm pretty sure you'll talk about that too. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And I totally get what you're saying, because of course, as a publisher, I see there's another magazine popping up every day, but a lot of them aren't going the print route. They're only digital. Now we do print and we do digital as well. But the thing is, it's still very hard for print. Like, magazines may cost up to $20, $25, and it's really hard to try to get people to buy that. the same time, the content, like, as a lover of magazines, I get it. You know what I mean? So it's hard trying to them and afford that paper. Like, that paper really costs, like it, and so I think that that's something that you really have to consider if you're going to do it, because even my advisors tell me, like, hey, you shouldn't still be printing. I just do it because I love it, you know. But everyone may not be that way. Everyone may not feel that way. And once you get that first bulk order, you know, and then there's also print on demand. So that's another option as well.
Yeah.
Okay, print on demand. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, a lot of magazines do that, and there's a lot of different aggregators that you can use for that.
Okay.
Can you explain print on demand for people that don't know? Because even as a publisher, there is print on demand on the side of book publishing. Could you explain what publishing on print on demand would mean in the general aspect, just so people would know what that is?
Okay. Yeah. So basically, there are platforms. I'm trying to think of the one I used to use. Mad Cloud, for example. Then you can sign up for Mad Cloud, and they would only, like, you upload your issue, and they would only print it whenever someone orders an issue. You know. And then the way you have it, of course, you need to price it for them to get their cut. So it's still, you know, it can get to be a little fickle right there, but that's basically what print on demand is.
Okay. Wow. Learn something new every day. All right. So thank you, Fancy. And I know we'll come back to you in a moment. So Coach Ebony, so talk to us about what your area of specialty is, and you know what you'd like for the audience to know.
Yeah, so I am Coach Ebony Nicole, and with my clients, they come to me most of the time or in one of two ways, either with the rough draft of their book or with just the ideal of their book. And whichever way they come to me will determine how we navigate to getting their book into to getting their manuscript into a completed sellable book. There's, oh my goodness, let me see. So if they come with their rough draft, it's just raw. Like, some of them is just like raw material. It's like going to Joanne Fabric. You can see no, I'm serious. It's like going to Joanne Fabric. You can see the fabric is beautiful, but you have to make it into something that people can see what you saw up here, they can see in reality. And so that is a process. It takes me going through their manuscript, and what I called creative development. And so I would read it three different times. And as I'm reading, I'm asking questions. And that's the first time I read it is just as it is. Just reading your thoughts as they are. The second time I read it, I'm asking questions. The third time I'm reading, I'm looking for notes. I'm looking for the answers to my questions, because sometimes you can state something in chapter 2, and I'll make my question, on the side of the document. But then you answer it in like chapter 6. And, there's a gap there, but it has to flow and make sense why it had taken so many chapters for the answer to be given. So if I don't find the answer, then I need my client. I make a note, hey, you need to answer this within the document so that I know where you're coming from, where you're going, and what I can do once I arrive there, or once you arrive there, how can I get there as well? If it's just the ideal of their book, that process is like just saying, I want to go to Joanne Fabrics, but you haven't gotten dressed yet. You haven't even rolled out of bed. It was the first thing you thought about after you prayed, did your devotional with God, and you said, I want to go to Joanne Fabrics. That's all you got. When you come to me with just the ideal, it's like, all right, well, we need to break it down. What is this book going to be about? Why are you writing this book? We do outlines of it just to make sure that you're focused on these things that are necessary for the book. So it's a lot that goes into it, but I'm telling you, I honestly, truly love it and enjoy it, because people are trusting me with their thoughts. They're trusting me to lead them down this journey. And once we get to the end, they're like, I got 2 more, coach. Well, let's go. Let's work on those too. So it's a beautiful thing. Far as what people can do to prepare to publish, if you decide that's what you want to do, very similar to Fancy and the magazine publishing, you have to know your ideal readers. And that is one of the questions I asked during our intake is, or our first consultation is, if you could just give me, summarize who would best read your book. And one of the things people quick to say, everyone. And I stop them real quick. Everyone is not your ideal reader. I'm not a sci-fi reader, but I have a friend who writes sci-fi fiction. Like, that's her thing. But that's not, I am someone. I'm one of everybody, but I'm not one of her ideal readers. So when I work with my clients, it's like we need to get down to the finite, like the really, really niche part of who you want to read your book, because then we can strategically market to them. You could go to where they are. There are thousands of groups on Facebook popping up every day. You need to get into those groups, introduce yourself, see what readers are looking for, and find your ideal reader and talk to them. But if you say everybody, I think the saying goes, if you service everybody, you service nobody, or something of that nature. Mm-hmm. So I tell them, like, you can't say everyone is your reader because it's not accurate. But then when they become my clients, then we dig deep into their ideal reader and build from there, and it'd be more effective that way.
Wow. Okay. I'm sitting here and I'm listening to the both of you. And, I've gone through coaching programs, mm-hmm. and they always have us like create an avatar, like, yes. Who is your, your ideal, your target audience. So like, yep. who is the ideal woman that I'm speaking to in my business, or that my services are for? And I guess I hadn't really thought about it like that as it pertains to writing. Yeah. I mean, it's like Fancy. I guess it's like when I think of a magazine, that I guess I would think that, because, this is, you might have a woman's magazine, but you have so many different types of women's magazines. Yeah. Let's just say you might have some that focus on health. You might have some that focus on like prenatal health or menopause, or, you know what I mean? So I guess I can see how that would be, more specific. You know what I mean? Like, how old are the women? Are they making money, or, you know what I mean? Like, what are the different demographics? What do they care about? Yeah. But Ebony, I guess, like, when I think about writing like a book, I guess I don't typically think about, and I guess sitting here thinking about it. Oh, okay. So when you're writing your book, before they come to you, mm-hmm. let's just say, in your writing, you need to think about who is going to benefit from my story. Is
Absolutely.
That kind of okay.
Absolutely. Because many of my clients write memoirs and autobiographies. And so if you're writing your memoir, like I'll use myself, for example, my memoir that I'm writing, I'm going to release it next year. It's called Heart Attacks Happen, a memoir on love and relationships. It's going to detail my relationships with men, starting with my father all the way through to right now. And so, and how those, not every relationship, but those that had an impact on me in one way or another, that has shaped me into becoming the woman that I am today. And then, well, prior to becoming the woman I am today, I had to go through a lot of healing, and where the process comes from. So my ideal reader would be a woman who is seeking. She's single like myself, and she has gone through enough trauma in relationships where she's given up, but yet she still has I would say 97% of her is like, I'm done. I'm going to be single for the rest of my life. But there's that 3% of her, that's that God, that Father, and the Father, the Son, and Holy Spirit in her is saying, don't give up. But she needs a way to get out of it. She needs a way to believe and to trust and to know, again, that love is real. And so I take them through that process. So every woman is not my ideal reader, because every woman is not in a place where she needs healing. Some women are fine. They don't want to be healed, or some are already healed, and some are already married and healed. And then there are women who are married and still need a healing. So that's where that's how that would work. So knowing your ideal reader, you know how to speak their language. Because if you don't know how to just imagine, and that's why I say speak their language. So when you are looking at advertisements, if it's a Gillette for men, that doesn't do anything for you. But then if you have a shaving cream for women, you're like, oh, yeah, I do hate that. I do hate this, and I do hate that. And so they're speaking your language. And so you're more apt to purchase their products. So when you are, and this is across any business, you speak their language, they're liable to hear you. And that's when it comes to writing and releasing your book. What I encourage my clients to do is to act as though, when we get down to who their book is for, when you read your story, act as though you're sitting across from this ideal reader and you're reading it to them. Make sure that you are telling them everything they need to know to understand your story, your journey, and who you are, and the takeaways you want them to immediately absorb. And then that's how you make sure your book is filled with meat and not fillers. As a writing coach, I don't do fillers. We're taking, I ask, I'll highlight, what is this for? Why is this here? Well, explain this to me. And, you know, I get some pushback. Well, coach, I don't want a little book. You can have the biggest book and it be worth less. And you can have a small book and it be worth much. So the thickness of a book does nothing for me. It's the content that matters, because content is king. And so since that is such, I always encourage my clients, when you're writing, think about the content, make sure it is valuable content, and that your readers will be filled when they're done reading your what you have to share.
Okay. Wow. Thank you. Thanks, Coach Ebony. I have something else I wanted to say. Fancy, did you have anything you'd like to suggest or piggyback on in reference to what Coach Ebony just said?
No, I mean, I agree with her. I will say I was late as far as like creating my avatar, and I'm still reworking it. So we're planning to do a rebrand actually next year. But I realized, you know, it was everything. It was like really mind blowing, to be honest, because I realized how you can be wasting time and energy in other areas. So I agree.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's like what she said, like being, if you don't know who your ideal reader or audience is, you'll be as an octopus trying to grab everything, where you need to just have one arm and you're reaching for that audience, and they'll be like, oh, she's talking to me. When even with what's Fancy having her magazine, her ads speak to her ideal reader, because she knows her audience would want, you know, my audience love romance. So she would have authors in there who have written romance books. You wouldn't have sci-fi in her, because that's not what your audience wants. And she could poll them. It's like, hey, we're doing a poll for the month of February. What type of books do you like? And then she can, if whatever the top 5 are, she gets a list of 10, whatever the top 5 are, then she can push that to different authors around the country and world and say, hey, my audience likes these top 5 genres. I need y'all to, here's the advertising package for 3, 6, 9, 12 months. Which one would you like? Because you have a high chance of my audience purchasing your book, because this is what they want to read. So when you know it, you can be very strategic in your ad, like she does her ads. You can be very strategic in that. And when my clients are putting out their books, they be very strategic about what platforms they go on, because their audience is there. Their audience is there. I think you froze.
Here goes my internet.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, I know that this is a whole nother subject, but I guess all that's very important too, once you actually release the book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're, you know, trying to get the word out there about your book. But you know, when you were talking, Ebony, I was thinking to myself, like writing is already challenging enough for me. And for some reason or another, like I feel like I might be a little overwhelmed trying to think about who my audience is and trying to get the words from in here onto the paper. Have any of your clients ever said that?
Yeah, well, because it's a process. We don't do it.
Okay.
We work on, it's not something you work on through an entire process, because before that book is released, we already need to know who, like maybe the first, second month of us working together, you already know who your ideal client is, because I'm not client, but your ideal reader is, because at this point, we need to start promoting and marketing and pushing this book. And so if we are a week before the launch, you're saying, oh, now I know who my ideal reader is. We don't lost 3 to 4 months of promotional time. So it's very important that you know right away. And then that, again, will free up your mind, because now you know who you're writing for. So now you can be strategic and very wise in the information that you share, because your reader needs this. This is what your reader needs to get from point A to point B and beyond. So what you share is that process of how to help them. But if you don't know who your ideal reader is, then you'll be all over the place. And then when I first get the book, I'm like, what we doing? What are we? Where are we going?
It's funny, you know.
What's the end result? No, seriously, like, where are we going? What are we doing? And so even like with memoirs, I tell people all the time, choose a theme. Like for me, my theme is relationships. That's the theme of my book. It's nothing but relationship. I'm not talking about my theme is relationship with men. So I wouldn't talk about relationship with my mom and my sisters. I went with my girlfriends and all that. No, there's no need to, because my relationship with men is my focus. So when you're sharing your story, know your focus point, and that will help you craft it. And then you're able to talk to your ideal reader, because this is what my reader needs. And I'll say this, like crock pots. I am a crock pot queen, okay? I wear my crown boldly, okay? I love crock pots. And if you, I love them when they write their stories, you know, this was my grandma May's, and this is her corn chowder. I love reading that stuff, because now I'm like, oh, Grandma May, you came up with the best corn chowder. I love you, Aunt May or Grandma May. You know, it's just your audience is able to relate. So to you as a writer, and they're able to, it's like, you know what, I like her. And they want to, you're building trust with them as well, because you're speaking to them and not everyone else.
Okay. So a couple of things. And Fancy, I don't want you to feel left out. I guess it's like the more Ebony talks, the more things kind of whirl around in my head. So I totally get that now. And I do see how that can help you write when you have a better gauge on who you're writing it for. Okay, so yes. I want to say that. Now, when you do a book collaboration,
yep,
and you got different people bringing different stories, putting different stories into the pot, how does that work in terms of the ideal client? You know what I mean? I mean, are they like is it the visionary that would define that avatar? Like how does that come together?
Yeah. So last September, I released my first anthology on this side, A Praying Wife in Waiting. I developed the ideal woman. I developed who I knew needed this book. And then I went forth and found 17 writers. And then I also have written for, so 18 of us. But I went forth and I pitched the idea to these women. I told them, this is what I'm doing. This is who it's for. Would you like to write and contribute? And that's what happened. So when they sat down and wrote their, when we all sat down and wrote our individual stories, it was focused on this one woman. She's single. She's ready. She desires to be married, but there is still some baggage, some luggage that she's carrying, and she's not sure how to let it go. All right, sis, we got you. So the book is comprised of single women who are successful in it. And then you have women who are wives, ranging from 1 year all the way up. I think the one wife was 37 years married. So you got single women and wives from 1 year and greater. No, 1 year and greater. And each woman shares their insight of marriage and singleness, and marriage or singleness, and how to be healthy in both. Now, when it came to the single women, I specifically said, write your story showing where you are now. And I only went and explained I pitched this part to women that I'm watching who are successfully single, not successfully single as in finances and business, no, but successful in their heart posture towards relationships and marriage. So if you are, if you're a bitter woman, I can't have you write to inspire other single women to be healthy, because you yourself is not yet healthy. And then when it came to the women who are married and I pitched it to them, I had to make sure, as far as I could see, that they were in healthy marriages. Because again, you can't teach me from your broken, bitter place as a wife how to be prepared for a healthy, loving marriage. So that's where it comes in when you are putting together an anthology, is you as the visionary, you have to know who your ideal reader is. You have to know the man, the woman, the child, or the group that you want to pick up your book. And so just like any other book, you have to then speak their language. And that's what we did.
Wow. That is so powerful. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, whenever I do interview people on my show or I do these summits, it's just like, it's such a breath of fresh air. And I learned so much. Yeah. And, that's why, ladies, I was so confident that you were going to get a lot from this. Yeah. And let me just acknowledge the elephant in the room. I don't know what happened to Fancy. I was looking down briefly to see maybe she was typing me a message. I was hoping that, that she'll just reconnect with us. But
come back, Fancy, come back.
Right, come back. Right, let's send her some.
Come back, Fancy, come
back. Yeah, so definitely I'm hoping that this has been helpful for you all. Like I said, if you want to publish your own book, and Coach Ebony here will actually walk you through that process. So why don't we go ahead and do that? Let the ladies know where they can find you, what you have coming up, and also just, and I know a lot of it you've already touched on, but just let them know a little bit more or reiterate again what they can. Hi.
Welcome back. We were pulling you back in, girl.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
We were pulling you back in. Come back.
I'm just glad you were able to join us again. So we moved into the phase now where Ebony's going to go ahead and go first, but I want you to tell everyone like what you have coming up, where they can find you or participate, as well as how you work with your clients. And again, Ebony, I know you touched on a little bit of it, but just to not leave any stone unturned, so what they, so they'll know what to expect. Mm-hmm. And what was the other thing? How to find you, what you have coming up, and how you, in particular, I guess, work with your clients.
Okay, sure. So you can find me via my website, ebonynicolesmith.com. You can also find me on Instagram at Coach Ebony Nicole, as well as on Facebook. You can search facebook.com/Coach Ebony Nicole. You can find me there. What I have, okay, so what I have coming up is on the 15th, I just had my Bold Writers Workshop or Masterclass, which I taught people how to write their memoir. coming up on the 19th of February, I have another Bold Writers Masterclass where I'm going to teach people how to produce their journals. I don't know what is happening this year, but everybody want to do a journal. I'm like, well, let's go. So those are really, they're not hard. It's just labor intensive for journals and workbooks. But I actually enjoy it because I'm like, hey, what is this journal for? Like, I have one client I'm working on now. We're putting together a grief journal, and it's challenging because I lost my father last year in February. So now the content, and is based off of, it was inspired because she lost her husband 4 years ago. And so she's at a place where she wants to help others in their grieving process. But what it was a challenge because I'm like pulling on my heartstrings because I know what I need during my own grieving process. And I'm reading these scriptures. I'm reading different things that can go into this grieving journal. So it is a process. It's labor intensive, but I actually love it. So I'm hosting another Bold Writers Masterclass on the 19th, which is a Saturday, from 1 p.m. Eastern time to 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. I'm going to walk you through the whole process of how to come up with, if you have the idea, great. If you don't have an idea, then I'll show you how you can get an idea for your journal and then show you how to produce one. You can register for it. It's only $27. It comes with a mini ebook, and it also comes with a 72-hour replay of the masterclass. And this is some pushback I got from my friends. I was like, well, why is it only 72 hours? Because I want you to immediately apply what you learn. If I give you a month access or a year access, you're not going to immediately apply it. You're going to take your little time. But if I put a deadline on it, you're like, well, I only got 72 hours. Let me hop to it. You're more apt to use the information that you have. And then the third question, you can register for that at ebonynicolesmith.com/store, and then click on writing course. And the third question was, how do I get started with my clients? Was that it?
Yeah, so along those lines, just to kind of give them an idea of what to expect when working with Coach Ebony.
Sure. So what to expect once you book your appointment at coachebonynicole.as.me/coach me, or go to my website, ebonynicolesmith.com. Once you register and you get on my line, I'm going to want to know everything about this story or project that you want to do. What is your why? And I look for your internal and external why. I want to know, who are you writing or creating this product for, and what are your goals afterwards? I put it in terms of beyond the book. What are you doing once it's published? Because that's not all. That's just the foundation that you can use to build a platform, to do one-on-one coaching. So we talk about those things, but we go in further detail once you become my client. When you do become my client, it's full steam ahead. Let's go. Look, we're going to set these deadlines and obtainable objectives so that you can see your progress as we go along. And as long as you're moving, I'm moving right along with you. I can only push you so far besides sitting at your laptop with you and asking you what you're doing. And so, and let me tell y'all one of the things I do. So my clients, this is my phone number. I have their number. If I see them on social media, I'll text real quick. So I see you posted where the book at. Or if they have an event coming up, it'd be nice if your book was there, and you're like, Coach, I'm working on it. Okay, well, I'm just saying. But the ultimate goal is to make sure they have a book that they are proud of, one that they are able to go out and sell and build, create, expand their platforms. So that's it. When you work with me, just know Coach is watching, because I'll follow you either on Instagram on Twitter. I don't do Snapchat or anything like that, but Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, I'll connect with you, and I'm watching. Like I encourage you, even if you don't work with me, and I encourage the ladies now, if you have an idea for a book, I encourage you today to put on all your social media platforms, I am an author, and just watch. The response is ridiculous. Okay. I love seeing it. I challenge people to do it all the time, because if you put it out there in the atmosphere, then people are going to be like, oh, you got a book? Oh, congratulations. When is it? What's the name of it? And all this stuff. Now you're building up hype. So now you're like, oh, I do got to do it now, because I don't told everybody. Exactly. So look, I am an author.
Accountability. That's some real accountability right there, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, no choice but to go forward and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you, Coach Ebony.
You're very welcome.
So, Fancy, are you okay? There's you kind of.
I'm here
a little bit. So, it's your turn. You're up.
Okay. So everything Swagger Magazine can be found at swagher.net, and that's SWAGHER.net. And then okay, that was everything. That's Instagram, website, Facebook, just to let you all know. But then we also have our newsletter, which is called The Higher South, and it's a bulletin platform. So that is bulletin.com, The Higher South. You all can find us there. And as far as what I have coming up, I'm actually transitioning into a visibility coach. I just kind of see that as a part of where it's kind of where all my knowledge kind of comes together. So I am preparing to teach my first course. I'm still getting everything together. So actually, I think I should probably start off with, I'm still getting my freebie together first. And then, but I started off with my course, and then my coach was like, okay, you going, you didn't skip some stuff. So that's kind of what I'm doing. But the other thing I was going to say is that we are actually releasing our holiday issue tomorrow, because it's kind of gotten late. We're working on the final touches for it. So it's going to be free, and you can check it out on our website. But by the time you all see this, it will still be free, and you can still check it out. So what else is there? And then as far as how you can work with me, normally we begin with the consult. And I think I probably need to back up a second and say, because we more so focus on the PR boutique side of things, like whereas we do have advertisers, we do offer public relations services as well. And that kind of helps us as a small outlet. So I say that to say, then we have like a subscription package. And normally that begins with the consult and figuring out what your goals are. Of course, these are like your press and media goals and speaking engagements, those sort of things. And if it's something, of course, like if you want to do different campaigns, or you already know that, like in particular, I have this client that knows that she wants her books to be like distributed in the school system. And so she and I came up with the campaign, whereas she's working directly with teachers, and right now they're kind of like reviewing the books just to kind of see how it's going to work out. So little things like that. That's what I mean by campaigns, just for those who may not be clear. Those are the goals that I'm typically looking for when we're initially consulting. And then from there, if you do come on board, well, I'm going to give you a proposal. And if you move forward from the proposal, then my main thing is first cleaning up things like your bio, checking on your messaging, and trying to make certain that everything aligns and looks good. Checking out your social media presence. Like those are things that I initially begin with before I begin to pitch you to other outlets. So of course, we do run you through the Swagger Magazine outlets, but then we also reach out to our partner outlets as well as other media outlets that still align with your brand, of course, and help you secure placement there. But that's basically how it works. And of course, we do those campaigns to kind of help throughout the time, whereas you may not have a big event going on, or you may not have a product launch, but there's still something else that you're doing to help continue to spread that brand awareness and continue to push your brand.
I actually like that. You said visibility coach?
Yes.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look into that with you. I absolutely love that. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah,
Congratulations on that too.
yes. I've never
Thank
heard of visibility coach. So that's just, but I love how you broke that down. It's just, you're here, people need to see you. They need to know how to
Right.
find you. You need to be in arenas where your ideal, I guess that would all go back to your ideal client or customer, being able to find you in a sea of everybody that's doing it. So okay.
Thank you. There are other visibility coaches. I've saw some. Just like, I want to be like on the first. But
Oh no, I just know, but I think it's awesome. I had never heard of it as such. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I was gonna say something. And I've been known to kind of have these little moments where I just forget, it'll like escape me. We were talking about, I don't know, but if you all have any questions for these ladies, you can send them an email. All right, so don't forget that, and it's only going to be for a short time only. And I'm not going to say the specific time frame now, but you all will receive it or have received it via email with all of your instructions. So make sure you go ahead and take advantage of that. So again, you have joined the Business Accelerator Bootcamp. This is the specific segment on publishing. So it's Publishing 101. And we have two phenomenal ladies here. Fancy, actually, let me just take this off. So we have Miss Francesca, also known as Fancy, who is and I know I'm going to say this wrong, the publisher and
editor-in-chief
of Swag Her magazine. So she came at it from from kind of like a magazine publishing standpoint. For those of you that are interested in doing that, like I said, maybe you already shining and doing other things in your coaching business and you want to branch out into starting your own magazine, whether it be print or whether it's digital or both. And Coach Ebony will actually walk us down the path of how to self-publish, as well as she is also, she's a publisher and she's self-published. I don't know, forget exactly how many books, but a lot. She self-published a lot of books, right? And she's also doing publishing anthologies as well. So if you have any other questions and you want to work with a book coach, then she's your person. So, go ahead, go back and listen to it. Make sure you hear it from the very beginning. Okay. So stay tuned. We have more in-depth topics. We're going to be talking about how to take your live show to the next level, how to take your podcast to the next level, how to create a successful event, as well as, let me see, what am I missing? How to secure high paid speaking engagements. We have someone that's going to talk with you on that. So it's a lot in store. Okay. So again, if you are a business owner and you're looking to scale your business in one of those ways, like I said, publishing, speaking engagements, live events, through podcasting, you definitely want to tune in and catch the other segments. So I'm your host, Jacqueline Kabah Harrison, and I don't go far. Okay. I'll talk with you again soon. All right, ladies, take care until next time.